Okay, you're watching City Focus. I think we're ready to launch.
I would believe, yeah, the wonders of live television. Well, welcome. Glad to be here.
I'm Marty Olsen, your host, and I've got Tony D'Angelo in, and also known as Tony D. He's a weekly guest on The Voice of Freedom on 94.9 with Lee Elsie on Tuesday mornings. And I'm delighted when he's able to carve out an hour and come down to Waterford, now Groton.
This is so much fun for me, Marty. I get to go to Mr. G's. I get to see people. I get to see you. I get to talk to these good folks. Other than that, they just lock me in a barn and make me work.
Okay.
But anyway,
we're going to muddle through this tonight. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but we'll have fun anyway. But Tony is a very, I think, enlightened in terms of issues regarding the state of Connecticut. He certainly, he may be the only person in the state of Connecticut that's holding Ned Lamont's feet to the fire. And we do have an election coming up this fall with, and the governor's, I'm assuming he's going to be up for re-election again for the third time. And the GOP's got 3 candidates vying to run against them. And I kind of like to hone in our conversation on that, Tony.
Which is, yeah.
We chatted a little bit about that over dinner. And
we did. And what's troubling to me was, and tonight we're on one camera from what our producer tells us, there are 3 candidates, all of which you have. Now, a little bit, because there's people watching Marty that don't know Marty. Marty is the last Republican mayor of New London, Connecticut. Marty is probably one of the best minds and one of the most decent people that I've run into. And this man is a highly educated man. He's not chopped liver. He's a student of the game, and he has asked each of these candidates to come on this show and sit in this chair where I am and, just let it all hang out. And they're not giving him the time of day. And I just think I think, Marty, the issue is so many of these candidates just want that airbrush thing. It's got to be perfect. I'm waiting for my close-up, but it's, what we're seeing now is, when the train jumps the track, how are you going to behave? Number one, I think that's shameful. And number 2, get over here, talk to this man, and let people on this end of the state see what you're all about. Because frankly, we've had too many paper tigers.
Well, it's the 3 candidates on the Republican side that are seeking the nomination. You've got the former mayor of New Britain, Erin Stewart, and she's been in the news a lot over the last day or two, not necessarily in a positive light, but Erin served from 2013 to 25 as mayor of New Britain, and she's very proud of that. Second woman, longest tenure, and I think she's hanging her hat on the fact that as a Republican, she's been elected and re-elected many times, and which you look at normally in an urban area as a Democratic stronghold. And I give her kudos for that. Mark Boughton from Danbury fits that bill as well, and he actually had a longer run. He went from 2002 to 2021, and he tried to run for governor at least one time, and was unable to secure the nomination. If I'm not mistaken, Heather Summers may have latched onto that as a lieutenant governor candidate.
Or was that Tom Foley? It might have been.
Well,
somewhere along the line.
But Erin is one, and she has been on this program once when she was the mayor of New Britain, and our studio at that time was over in Waterford. And as far as I was concerned at the time, as a guest in the capacity of mayor, she was a good guest. I enjoyed having her on. But I have been in touch with her campaign folks, and they voice interest, but they have not, I haven't seen them walk through the door yet. And also we have Ryan Fazio, who's a state senator from the let's see, what district? The 36th district, which is down in the Fairfield County area. And I've only met him briefly, and that was this past winter when Grassroots East had their big function for the year in Norwich. And he's, again, through his campaign people, and when I had Paul Formica on a few weeks ago, Paul indicated he would help in getting Mr. Fazio on as well. And
Well, they gotta
haven't had
show
any
up.
contact from their campaign either. And then the third campaign is Betsy McCoy, who I was introduced to through Tony. And Tony was my contact, and I was able to speak with her on the phone and introduce myself in the program, and she seemed interested as well. Although I haven't seen her, I haven't heard from her since that conversation. And those of you who listen to Lee Elsa, he's been having problems as well, trying to connect with these campaigns to try to get them on either his program, but he'd like to do a debate with all three.
Yes, that is correct. But what did, we have this camera working. What did Woody Allen say? 85% of being successful in life is merely by showing up. So they're not even making the 85% right now, basically. I mean, we see things happen, and basically it's to friendly people, you know, but you got to show yourself to be one who can relate to everyone. And that personally bothers me, that they're not coming. I mean, because there are a lot of people out here who want to hear from them. You know, you've got great viewership tonight. You know, we've announced this is over the internet, and I personally don't like that, because I'm just so tired of the airbrushed political candidate where everything's going to be wonderful, and the minute you throw them in there, it's you watch them crumble.
Well, you know, it's kind of ironic because the way we opened tonight, which was a little bit of a curveball, but you know, to see how our ones who want to lead, how do they handle that?
Well, that's just it.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, do they freeze? Do they handle it smooth sailing and just roll? You know, and I wouldn't know how any of them would do.
We've watched over, I don't know how many years, but certainly since COVID-19, we have watched events, disasters, occurrences. The ones that have happened in Democrat-run areas, Marty, if they weren't so sad, they would be funny. These people have no clue as to what to do about anything. And I get concerned about that here. I mean, you know, Ned Lamont is no leader. Ned Lamont is no commander. Ned Lamont is no, you know, he's not America's mayor, basically. And, you know, by the grace of God, we've escaped that, frankly.
He seems to be taking his cues from California and New York.
Exactly, exactly.
They lead and he follows.
Yeah, exactly. And that is, you think back to, you know, Rudy Giuliani. Now Rudy's had his ups and downs and he's had his issues, but what he did for 9/11 and bringing New York back to a place of respectability was magnificent. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to see that again, basically. I don't want to see another disaster, but I don't think we're going to see that again.
Well, certainly not with the current office holder of mayor of New York City.
No.
But I have basically an open door if any one of those three were to show up right now, would pull up a chair and invite them into the conversation. For those of you who watch on a regular basis, this is pretty informal here on City Focus. It's conversational. I mean, I'm not a pro in terms of the communications aspect. I like to see who I'm talking to. I'm not looking at the camera there, and I'm talking to the gentleman over here.
Gentlemen.
I would like to know who I'm speaking to, and we can read off each other and have our conversation. So I think that works well, and I've got.
I agree.
You know, we're not 60 minutes, as I tell all my guests, especially newbies. And I'm not Mike Wallace, and we're not out to get you. Even if we don't like you, we're not out to get you. We're here to have a conversation and learn. And when it comes to a campaign, I think so often many people are not really up to speed on who the choices are and what they stand for and what they even say they're going to do, never mind what they end up doing.
Well, I think that's so true. And we were talking in the restaurant about a very nice young man who's running for Congress in New Haven, Christopher Wansey. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and trying to give him, the benefit, if you want to call it a benefit, of my 4 decades there, and kind of how the bread gets buttered, so to speak. And he has an idea. This is not to be critical of him in any way, but why won't the major network, say in New Haven, WTNH, why won't they give him a fair airing? Well, the answer is they're not going to do that. It is not in their interest. And it's when, if you want to get down to where we scratch our head about some of the recent occurrences in Republicana. I don't know, Marty. I don't know. We watched the meltdown of Rosa DeLauro at appropriations before Lee Zeldin, and just basically, if she didn't make a fool of herself, she made a fool of every single person in the state. It was awful. It was terrible. She didn't know the law. She didn't know how. She's sitting on appropriation. She doesn't know Supreme Court decisions, but yet she controls a ton of money. And there's never been, it's twofold. There's never been a serious effort to get rid of her because of the money that she controls. And the other thing is that she has there's a lot of people who like the fact that she brings that money, and they don't push hard against her. The other thing is, like I'm a huge Honeymooners fan, and one of the Jackie Gleason lines to Ralph Cramden to Alice Cramden is, you've been waiting for your ship to come in. You've been waiting for your ship to come in. Well, here it is, the Queen Mary. Well, here it is, Ben Proto, the Queen Mary. This is your quote-unquote lead Democrat who's having a worldwide meltdown, and the Republican Party doesn't make a statement. Republican Party is saying, hey, it's about time we ousted this bad. No. The only people that said anything about that were the people on Twitter and me on 2 shows. That's it. And you know something? That's a shame. Because that woman does not represent me in this state.
But it's not just her.
Exactly.
Chris Murphy's made an ass of himself now for an extended period of time.
Right.
Blumenthal's running a little bit behind.
Close, yeah.
And although the governor is not as verbose as those 2 gentlemen are, his performance is certainly up for review, to put it charitably. But you need somebody there to do the groundwork and get there and get it done.
And you ask yourself, if you're fighting something, who is your enemy? What are you fighting for? If you're fighting for Republican policies and freedom and liberty, and not having your city turned into a place where everybody's deserted, where you step over the needles and it's crime-ridden. If you're fighting for that, you've got to be out there every day. Spencer Pratt, we discussed him in Los Angeles. The perfect way to do what you need to do with respect to the message, because he's not playing nice, this kid. He's not, we're going to come to He's like, listen, this is war. It's me against you. He's not taking out a gun or a knife or anything, but he's exposing it for what it is. And I've sat there for years and I've said, why don't our Republicans do that? Why don't our Republicans do anything, basically, other than, quote unquote, nibble around the edges of barely get along street, which has gotten us to where we are right now.
Yeah.
which ain't
Well,
good.
I mean, again, back to the Republican candidates for governor. You have Ms. Stewart, and she's been on television, paid advertising, expensive, as well as Mr. Fazio, Senator Fazio. I don't believe that Ms. McCoy has done any television to date.
Yeah, I think it's been mostly videos on Twitter and things like that.
But the two, I would call them the two lead candidates.
You can call them the majors.
I don't leave their advertising with a warm and fuzzy feeling in terms of knowing what they stand for or what they're going to do. Ms. Stewart, her tagline on her ads are, is that we can do better? Or
Something different.
we can do something different. So after 30 seconds or a minute, we can do something different. And Mr. Fazio, Senator Fazio, is up on a billboard, and he's letting us know that he's going to cut taxes $1,500, and that he is going to move out illegal immigrants out of the state of Connecticut. He is. Now, I don't know who he's targeting these $1,500 tax cuts to, because we all don't make the same amount of money. There are some folks that a $1,500 a tax cut won't make a difference at all because they're making so much money. And then there are those that don't make that much money. So we're going to give them more money than they make.
Well, you know,
or more than they're taxed.
The issue that Betsy has hit on, which, as I've said, is I think, you know, half a horse is better than none, but still it's half a horse. If Connecticut hopes to be the least bit competitive in anything ever again, you cannot have your tax rate going up when other people are, you know, theirs is going down or they're not anything at all. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of a no-tax state, because what happens in a no-tax state is you get 50 miscellaneous taxes. Like New Hampshire's a good example of that, you know, the unincorporated business tax, and you get a tax if you have a view of the mountain and things like that. But, you know, low, simple, you know, 2%, 3% tax, flat, done, simple, easy, conceptual, over. That's my view. But you're not going to get...
Steve Forbes' idea there.
Exactly.
He ran on that for president a number of years ago.
Right. Yeah, it's... I mean, or Herman Cain had the 999, right? Which was interesting. Which okay, you're thinking, I like that. But the fact of the matter is, Marty Olsen, is that if you're going to make me no taxes to connect, maybe it's not going to matter too much for me. But what's going to take somebody out of, you know, New Hampshire and make them want to come to Connecticut? What is going to make them want to do something here? You've got to have, you know, corporate incentives. Oh, well, we have incentives. We have the Department of Economic and Community Development. Yeah, dirty 2% loans that never get paid back. You don't know what's happening. You don't know who's getting what to whom. I mean, just, you know, let's just have a low tax rate in a business-friendly environment. They'll come. They'll come because we have other attributes. It's like, you know, and you sit there and shake your head, and it's like, well, we're just going to keep doing the same stupid thing, and we're going to expect a different result.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're both Connecticut guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember as a much younger fellow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll even give a pat on the back to O'Neill. I mean, where the Connecticut had a reputation for being a fine state to do business with.
Yes, it did.
And we had, you know, it was low taxes, and it was big services, good educational system, good public educational system. The cities weren't worn out.
Cities were fun to go to.
And many of the cities were the leaders of different manufacturing industries. You know, I mean, you think of Hartford, you think of, you know, the insurance city.
Yeah.
And then we had, you know, we had the watch or clock. Was it
Waterbury.
You know, and around the state we had different communities that were the leaders in those industries, and they have, over the course of time, gone away.
And there's been this steady progression of people going away and and it's like I said yesterday on the Lee Elsey show, 2 corporations left us last week, IDEX and Sturm Ruger. And it's like, I don't hear any candidate mentioning that. Why did they leave? We're at this long litany of other people that have left along the way. And the thing is, you don't see people replacing them. There's this very vague concept that we hear about, oh, we're doing quantum computing, and that's all cool. They have made $1. They've taken 121 million tax dollars to do something or other with something, but where is the development? What does that benefit? Does that benefit people here? Is there a place for them in that industry? We don't know these things. It's like we're not supposed to know them. And the candidates are, right across the board, have been very deficient in addressing that.
Yeah, I mean,
got to call it the way it is.
Question, any candidate on either side of the aisle needs to be prepared to answer. Why are you running? What are you going to do for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a crucial question, whether you need to be prepared to respond to. And I'm going to be prepared to respond to, but hit home run and have an issue or 2 or 3 that are very clear and easy to address.
And you don't, you don't stray from them. You stay with them and you work with them. And it's we don't see that. We don't get that. And the thing is it government for the people or government for the chosen or the cronies or the connected or the
based on ticketing and getting to events, I guess you have to be part of the in crowd to get the free tickets.
Isn't that a slap in the face to every? It's a minor thing, but basically it's like you talk about somebody and you're walking on the street and there's a bum laying on the sidewalk and you just kick them and you walk away. Maybe you don't hurt them, but you kick them. That to me was. And people look at me weirdly and I say, it's really them against you. Oh, how could you say that? Oh, but what does that show you? What is that? How could you do that? How could you vote for that in good faith? I mean, do you feel slighted by your service? If not, if it's service, don't serve.
Nobody's making anybody run for office.
No.
It's a personal decision.
Last I heard.
That is aggrandized by
that
the
made
party
me angry.
that
made me angry.
Seeking to get nominated to run with.
Yeah.
But it's a personal decision you make. I'm going to seek this office, and I'm hoping that the party of my choice is going to nominate me to do so.
And the thing is, I realize I say "and the thing is" a lot, and people have kidded me about that through the years. You got 40% of this state who basically right now is wandering disenfranchised. Nobody really knows or cares. They're not politically connected. They don't belong to a party. They get up, they try to pay their rent, they try to pay their bills, they lease their cars, and I do not see in this political world, if you will, anything really addressing those people. They're not, they're not contributors as such. They don't have the money to give, but they do want to see lower taxes. They do want to see lower bills. They do want to see safer communities. They do want to see better education. But it's like, anybody talking about that?
Well, many of those topics should be, and those are easy to understand.
Yeah, simple beans.
I mean, a topic that Senator Fazio is highly promoting, especially through his paid advertising, is that he's going to clean up the sanctuary cities in Connecticut and sanctuary state, and he's going to get rid of all the illegal aliens himself. Now, I don't know, in my limited level of reading and education, I always thought that was a federal issue. And it's up to the feds to take care of that stuff, to deport. So I don't know how he's going to do that. And he hasn't explained it other than that he said it.
We get so much of that. We get so many vagaries, and I think when I read, I should probably read better things, but when I read Facebook and when I read Twitter is of a higher, shall I say, a higher acuity level, a higher pitch. But when I read Facebook, to those people who may not know, Aaron Stewart, a governor candidate, is, I guess now we found out tonight on the reports I was reading that she could use the campaign money for her legal defense based upon, come what may.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that to me is like...
Let's explain what the issue is.
Please do.
I'm deferring to you.
Okay. As well as I understand it, she, during her tenure as mayor, there were some very questionable charges on her P card, her purchase card in the city of New Britain, that a lot of them appear to be of a personal nature. Now that, of course, raises a whole lot of questions as to was she receiving a financial benefit off of taxpayer dollars, albeit one she's not paying taxes on, albeit one which is exempt from public view. A lot of it was apparently in her one paragraph statement, which took 36 hours to write. I'm doing parties and things, and it's like, well, I mean, are you a party planner or are you a mayor? I mean, what's happening here? But there is this whole thing now. She has, and she's largely saying, as far as I understand, this is something this is a political thing, because after all, look at everything Ned Lamont did. Now, I probably, more than any human being in mankind, have told everybody more than what Ned Lamont did. And as I said to Lee Elsie yesterday, and
I usually wait for Tuesday mornings to hear.
Yeah, well, and how could I put it? And the chairman of the Republican Party said for years, corruption doesn't matter. Well, now I guess it matters to him a great deal. And it's like, well, all right, but so the way this is being packaged, this recovery, you can go in and help yourself out to people who donated to you in good faith. And she still has a large, from what I could read on Facebook, it's like, you're being victimized. You're gonna do it, girl. You're gonna, you're Mary Tyler Moore. You can make it after all. And it's like this whole thing of, we've conditioned ourselves, Marty, to say, well, a little corruption's a whole lot better than a lot of corruption. And it's like, but like, assuming these reports are true, you're still corrupt. I mean, it's that does not speak well for you, the other people in your party. You get a lot of people on Twitter that are like, how dare you do this and stand there and say you will make a better world for all, and you're not accounting for, nor have you repented, nor have you, apparently this was just going on, and you walk around being picked on.
And when you are making a key issue, as a GOP collectively has been doing.
We're going to clean house.
As we'll clean house,
Yeah.
and that Governor Lamont
Yeah.
is corrupt.
Yeah.
Now, if he is, and you're going to make that the big issue, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. And we discussed that in a restaurant, and I like to do warts and all. I'm a huge Mike Wallace fan, and two things Mike Wallace had entirely wrong. Number one, the UN, and number two, Joe McCarthy did a lot of good that people is lost to history. Those are the two things Mike Wallace felt the strongest about. But that all said, he was a great believer in warts and all, and warts and all. The fact that we discussed that, and we discussed this whole thing of how can you say you're going to make things like our bar has lowered so much where this is just government. This is just what government does. Grow up, get over it. And I'm like, no, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the fact when I have to deal with government. God help me if I don't make a check the box election. God help me if I don't have a mail receipt. Oh, well, but yet when it comes to them, oh, it's okay. Oh, this is fine. Oh, this is whatever the case may be. And it's this thing of like, how can I put it, Marty? It's They want to exist in an entirely different parallel universe away from the rest of us who must deal with the laws that they write, who must deal with the conduct, who must deal with the administrations that they put in place. And the thing, I was having this discussion this morning, and this is the whole thing. Somebody, you know, politicians come and go. They just, you know, one comes, the other. The bureaucrat stays there 40 years, 45 years, 50 years, effectively makes his or her own laws. Legislature didn't vote on it. You didn't vote on it, but you know, you pretty much have to do what they do because they run the system.
Well, that's the swamp.
Exactly. And it's like, when will that candidate come who will say, you know, there's something with this administrative state. There's a lot of issues here. There's things that, you know, no, the DECD should not be handing out these 2% millions of dollars forgivable garbage loans, people walking away with money. You know, Republicans every once in a while will come out and say, oh, well, you know, let's talk about the DCF or let's talk about somebody who's political, but they don't talk about that. They're sitting there handing out the money that the DECD is giving them. It's like, listen, there's no such thing as a little bit of taint. You can't have it. You can't have it.
No. But the thing is that there are big issues, and as one who's run for office at the local level numerous times, I mean, it's beneficial when you go after, I would say, anywhere from 2 to 3, maybe 4 key issues. And I think that would work right here in the state. You don't need to have a laundry list, but you want to have a handful of things that are key to your campaign that people understand and that you can clearly articulate so that they understand and how you're going to deliver. What's one issue right now that people are belly aching, perhaps more than anything else, is your electric rates and the public benefit that's on the far end of your bill. And for many people, that public benefit is more than what they're paying for the service. And that's a crime. I mean, that's awful. And what's anybody doing about it? Now, Fazio's taking credit because it's now on your bill so you can actually see it. But it's not what's being done to remove it. And I don't see anybody who's showing any interest in that tough part of the equation.
Well, and to your point, I think so much of that is energy-based, and we have, I think Betsy McCoy did a very bold thing in suing Kathy Hochul about let the natural gas come down. No one ever did that. I mean, I was excited about that. That was like, quote unquote, a step in the right direction. But basically, we've never had a Republican Party to say, look, we need to develop business. Isn't that something like Republicans do? Doesn't like a Volkswagen have 4 speeds and an engine in the rear? But we've never, and to do that, we've got to have, quote unquote, cheap and plentiful energy. Now, how do we do it? How do we get there? Well, we've got to get over the politically correct stupidity of all the stuff that really doesn't work that well and figure out ways of getting things and making them as environmentally safe as we can. Because look at it this way, Marty. Somebody, no matter the bribe that you pay them, somebody's going to look at the potential for energy cost to a business moving into the state. It's like, I don't want my utilities marked up 20%. There's no benefit in that for me. Why would I come?
And they don't.
And they don't.
And you know, our utility bills, even without this public component, are still high.
They're still high.
Irrelevant to that. This just exacerbates a bad situation.
Exactly. Exactly.
And this is something that every Republican candidate running for state rep, state senator, any state office ought to be hammering the hell out of the Democrats. Just bang, bang, bang. What are you doing? And this is what we're going to do. But you got to get us in there to do it.
And we don't even get the articulation of this is what we're going to do. And that's really the sad thing.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, and the thing is, you know, it's no one person has all the answers, basically. I mean, there's, you know, God has the answers, but man has to do the best he can. I say this all the time. It's like, if perhaps the ideas that the political system has given us have more or less kind of driven us off a cliff or haven't come far enough. I mean, I've been talking about a citizen doge since January. Let's just get, you know, let's just get a bunch of volunteers. We can't do any worse than what the legislature has done. That's almost like impossible. And just say, let us have what's there. And we won't, you know, promise we won't yell and scream on Twitter until all the findings are done. But we'll come back with a report, cut this, and this, consolidate this, move this over here, eliminate this, shut this down. We don't get that. And then when we say it, and it's like no politician ever picks up on it, I say, why? Why? Are you afraid of the very public you represent? I mean, are you that insecure? I mean, you certainly can't pull the, well, you don't know what we're dealing with act, because you know, it's very easy to say, well, obviously by the record, neither do you. And it's just, it is so detrimental. And it's like, I think the reality is, what do you look at? I mean, there's this whole thing going back and forth, you know, Aaron Stewart and all this stuff, and who's the candidate and what are the solutions. Right now, tonight, you know, May 13th, we're looking at 4 more years of the same crud that has driven the state into oblivion, and there isn't a bright light saying this is going to be how we're going to be different. It's because the difference coming out, yeah, Betsy's light hasn't shone all over, I've got that, brightest, but it's like, there ain't no, I mean, like.
Well, people have got, as a candidate, you know, people, you know, A, have to know you.
Yeah.
And B, it's usually beneficial that they like you. Mm-hmm. I mean, if people don't like you, they're not going to vote for you.
Well, it's true.
I mean, you know, this is hard for the Democrats to swallow at the national level, but more people like Trump than don't. That's why he won. If it was the other way around, he would have lost.
Yeah, and for all the man's, you know, put it this way, people saying he didn't do this, that, or we're in this situation, or this needs to get better. And yeah, there's always room for improvement, but can you imagine President Harris right now? Oh, Lord help us.
It's a horror show.
Yeah. Can you imagine a world where Elon Musk did not buy Twitter? We would not have a free voice. We would be, and somehow I guess that's the thing that Republicans do not see, that if you don't espouse these principles of freedom, economic freedom, personal responsibility, and wanting a good environment, you're going to be, they're not interested in any of that. They are interested in taking control. They are interested in them telling you what they want to do, and it's all going to be for your own good. It's all going to be, you know, you will be in our
and we're looking at a big issue right on this topic as we speak regarding housing. Now, you know, there's a big hue and cry about housing, lack of it, cost of it, whether it's buying and or renting, that we are in an unaffordable state. Of course, when you have regulations and you have got fees and things that just add to the cost of this, no matter whether it's rental or for home ownership, all you're doing is making things less affordable. But the legislature and assembly, in their infinite wisdom, they want the communities that don't have any quote unquote low-income housing. Well, you need to do your fair share, and we're going to make sure that you do. So you're going to have to get a percentage of new housing is going to have to meet new housing criteria. And with this,
You know what the biggest amount, I don't know, can we say horse crap on public broadcasting? I just did.
Yes, did.
Thank you. The biggest amount of horse crap in that whole equation is this. Somebody goes into an apartment and how they get there, and what's going to happen with an apartment is, I think developers build these things and they probably expect a certain amount of people coming in paying a certain rate. Well then, welcome to your local, rent control commission who says there's not enough, moderately priced units in that thing. So they've got to ratchet the thing down. And then when they ratchet it down, you get quote unquote people who were in that apartment who normally wouldn't be able to pay for it. And then it's like, well, what are we going to do? Well, you're not going to get a market rate tenant coming in somewhere where the building, and I'm not saying all lower tenants are bad, but typically it runs this way. So they can't get market rate tenants, and then they have to ask in more low-income tenants, and essentially what you've got is the slums of the future. Sorry, that's just the way it is, and if you don't like, my analogy, go back to every single thing in the world where this has happened, and this is what has happened. You're going to be the exception. This is what absolutely fries me with these people. And much better people than them decided that 40, 50, 60 years ago. Cabrini Green, Father Panic Village, Southfield Village in Stamford, Arnold Court in Greenwich. Drugs, guns, bullets, over, done. Anyway, but here's the fallacy. What if you said to these people, look, we're not going to give you a rental. You're going to have a cooperative apartment. This is yours. You own it. If you take care of it, if you paint it, if you fix up around it, you can sell it for more money. And you can sell it to somebody and you can have ownership in your community. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that because they don't want to see modest people advancing economically. That's what makes this whole thing the biggest freaking lie known to mankind. It's garbage.
Well, but the thing too is that Connecticut has had a strong home rule, giving local communities the ability through zoning.
Exactly, to say no, I don't want that.
Yeah, I mean, people move to different communities for a variety of reasons, but many people will move to a community because they don't have this type of housing or the type of housing that this attracts, the type of renters and or homeowners. And don't they have any rights to move into a community and then have the rug pulled out on them after the fact, and you don't know if you're going to have whatever it may be behind you or next to you.
A very astute soul on X was saying, you realize what happens here as the towns try to keep their home rule up and they try to run things and they, oh, sorry, we don't have the funding, oh, this, oh, that, you'll have to do it on your own. It's like, well, let's just have the state come and give us the money. And then, of course, when the state does that, they're going to, quote unquote, dictate where you live based upon their purposes. And that being as it is, that's where we're at. But I was saying this to somebody the other night. Co-op City in New York, it's like, I haven't done it in a long time, but if you go to well, now it's the City Field, used to go to Shea Stadium, and if you come down, I guess it's the lower end of the Hutchinson River Parkway, there's this series of high-rise buildings now. They've been there 65 years. And these are owned apartments. The waiting list to buy one is 2 to 3 years for a one-bedroom. It's like 5 years for a two-bedroom. Why? Because it's ownership. People want to go where they own something, but yet somehow it's like, well, we just have to, we're going to put you in a rental and we're going to kind of dictate everything to you. And I mean, my Lord, you can't run government. Please don't tell me you're going to run my house.
Well, I mean, London right now, I mean, our mayor and council is gambling in a big way on rentals.
Yeah.
And with urban renewal, the not Shaw's Cove, but Fort Trumbull area was supposed to have had condominiums, and they're putting up apartments at warp speed. Studios, one, and a handful of two-bedroom places. they're certainly not geared for families.
Right.
In the backbone of most thriving communities, you have families, because the folks with the families, here's where your coaches come from, and your scout leaders, and the volunteers that make your community viable. And if you're bringing in singles and young couples or empty nesters, they may not be interested in this stuff. I mean, the singles and the couples, they may be interested in going down to Pepe's in New Haven as opposed to the Sun.
Well, and if you try to have a discussion with a state legislature, which unfortunately sometimes is difficult because the light only goes on to a certain degree, then they'll just start cursing at you, and you start cursing at them. But the whole idea is, if you have an attraction, if you have something where people want to be, like New York years ago, or Hollywood years ago, or Marty, they'll come. They're going to come. They'll stay in one bedrooms, they'll stay on couches, they'll stay in cars, they'll stay in, you go where it is. Connecticut doesn't have an it. Connecticut gets a defense contract. Thank God for Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, basically. But I mean, it's like, if you don't have that, where's the it? Where's the there? I mean, government's got to be saying, what is our there? We don't have a there. We got, I don't know what we got, but we ain't got a there.
Yep. Well, there was a young fellow who I worked with for a brief time when I was working at Ace Hardware, and he left Ace, and I inquired of him in conversation. I said, you're a young guy, new in town. What do you do? He says, we don't do anything here. If we're going to do anything, we go to Providence or Boston. But they don't do it here because there's not much to do for young people. And I don't mean young teenagers, I mean young adults.
Yeah. It's, you've got to have a destination, you've got to have a there.
So, it's amazing to say, especially as we had our troubles getting out of the box tonight. Well, I think we've had a pretty nice conversation.
We really have, yeah.
And I want to thank Tony for coming in. And as always, a pleasure. We'll have you back soon, I hope. And you've been watching City Focus. We will be back again next week. My guest scheduled is Dr. John Foley, and he's running for state rep in Waterford and a little sliver of Montville. So I'm looking forward to having a good doctor in and getting his ideas of what he'd like to do for the state in the communities that he's going to be serving. So tune in next week for City Focus, and thank you for
Good night,
tuning
everybody.
in.